Oh, tractors. Hi there, welcome to today's video where I'm going to be showing you how I made my little gothic clown here. I had a spare head kicking around, so I thought it was about time that I finished him off and gave him some life, so to speak. So hope you enjoy. Before I move on, however, I just wanted to let you know that if you weren't already aware, I'm now on Skillshare as a teacher. So if you're interested in learning how to sculpt, by all means come over and take a look. I'll leave a link down below that will allow you to have 2 months free membership, which is always a good deal, so hope to see you over there. But yeah, let's crack on and I'll show you how I made my clown. So here's an old head that I had kicking around that I made originally for a Captain Spaulding model. And you might know Captain Spaulding from the horror movie House of a Thousand Corpses or The Devil's Rejects. But I didn't do his head right because I forgot that he was bald and I didn't kind of shape his head right at the back, so I didn't make the model. But I thought I'd keep hold of the head just in case I fancied finishing it off one day. And today seems to be the day. I had my Fimo delivery this week and I just thought I'd mention they're doing a new 454 gram or a pound block of Fimo. Not quite sure why they made the change, but just thought I'd point it out in case you didn't know. So it's yeah, a bit more expensive. So I'm just going to start off by making a base for my clown. Because of his mouth, it obviously lends very well to a gothic style, so I'm going to be using quite dark tones for this particular model. I've wanted to start kind of experimenting with my own character designs for quite some time now, so I think it's a really good excuse now that I'm doing YouTube videos, because you have to be really careful with copyrighted characters and others' intellectual property, quite rightly. So it's really encouraged me to kind of think about doing, you know, slightly different things, which is always a challenge, but it's always interesting. So I've been wanting to make clown characters for a while in particular because I was really scared of them as a child. I really hated them, and it was probably to do with the Poltergeist movie that I watched when I was far too young in the 80s. I've much older brothers, so they always had horror movies kicking around at home, so I was watching them way too soon in many cases. But, you know, I went on to develop a taste for them, and a lot of my work is now centred around kind of horror and horror themed characters, so it wasn't a bad thing really. I'd be interested to hear what horror movies you watched when you were way too young. I think everybody's got a story to tell there. And just using some wire here so I can attach his body once this is baked. I think the first film that I saw actually was Salem's Lot. Well, it's not actually a film really, it was a mini-series, but still very good. Good old Stephen King. So I've decided to use 3 colours for my clown, being black, white and a dark red colour, all nice and gothic. I really hate doing stripes because they're really difficult to do, but sometimes your brief asks for them, so you have to do them. But they're really time consuming, and when you put in black clay on white, there's not a lot of room for error, because if you have to lift off your clay and replace it, you can guarantee you're going to get some black marks as well, so it's really handy to have some wet wipes around. I don't know why, but traffic is really heavy today outside the studio, so I'm going to try and cut out as much of that as I can, but apologies if you hear the odd rumble of a tractor or a lorry. Not sure what they're all doing. There we go. It's all looking a bit messy at the moment, but I'm pretty sure it's all going to come together. And just adding in some detail. It's all about the detail when it comes to polymer clay. I believe anyway. So I think this strip of black clay will look really nice at the bottom of his trousers, just to make it all look a little neater, and it'll all come together a bit more, I think. And it's a lot more reminiscent of clown attire. So these trousers are nearly done now, so I'm going to bake them. And while they're baking, here's a short intermission, featuring a short walk in Warwickshire after a really windy day. I don't know what's happened to the summer, but it's evidently gone by all accounts. But yeah, it'd be nice to have a bit more sunshine before we approach autumn. So now the trousers are baked and cooled, I'm just gonna create a body for him and attach him to the wire that was placed on his trousers. I know my models seem to come together really quickly on video, but they can take quite a lot of time. Generally speaking, they'll always take at least a full day to make, and the more detailed models can take 2.5 to 3 days. Certainly this one took about 2.5 days, maybe a little less because it can take a little more time when you're filming work in progress. Just because you have to kind of sit a bit awkwardly sometimes, so it kind of slows the process down, I've noticed anyway. And yet more black lines. My favourites. But I need to do them really to pull the piece together. I'm really glad that I'm over my coulrophobia or fear of clowns now, because it was a real thing when I was a child. I really hated them. And I still don't like real life clowns, you know. I couldn't think of anything worse than to go to a party and there's a clown there. But that might be a lot to do with my introverted nature. But, you know, I've got far more of an appreciation for them now. And I think my favourite clown is probably Tim Curry as Pennywise in the early It's. I'm a bit torn about the new It's remake. I do like it, but I don't know, it just hasn't got the same kind of nostalgia for me as the original one. And the original isn't, you know, the best bit of filmmaking ever. It just has a real charm about it that not sure that the second one kind of picked up on, really. I'm still excited to see the second film though, you know. I'll probably make my mind up fully once I've seen both together. So he's looking a bit more clown-like now with all of his neck attire. And some pom-poms, I think, to go with the ones on his legs. So here he is in his current state, and I'm going to bake him again now because it's easier to add his hair. So now he's all baked and cooled, I'm going to add his hair and maybe a little hat. And I'm going to go all Keith Flint on him and create two horn-like structures coming out of the sides. I don't know what's going on with my memory, but I'd completely forgotten that Keith Flint died this year. I just had a fleeting memory for a second and I had to look it up. I think he died in, was it March this year? It's just so strange, isn't it? It's, I don't know why you forget these things. Just showing my age, I think. His hair can be really fiddly, but almost there. I'm just going to add some eyebrows now, and surprisingly eyebrows can take ages to do because they're really so important when it comes to the model's expression or the character's expression, and if they're not 100% right they can really ruin a character. Kind of pleased with these, but I'll no doubt keep going for a bit longer off camera, just so that I can look a little closer at them, because it's yeah, quite a fiddly task and sometimes the camera can get a bit in the way really. Yeah, it's unfortunate really. Sometimes I wish that I had a camera in my eye just so you can pick up detail that is otherwise lost on a camera nearby, because you don't get the same kind of perspective really. And I've decided against giving him a red nose because I think he's got a face full of makeup already, and although more is more when it comes to clowns, I really don't think he needs one. I think you can definitely see that he's a Gothic style clown. And now he needs to be baked for the third and final time now. Here he is in all of his glory. I've given him a little more makeup and he's got little bits of gloss here and there, so all in all I'm really pleased with this. Here's a little illustration featuring him, and I think I'm going to call him Griffin because he, I don't know, looks like a griffin. So meet Griffin the Gothic clown. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.